Hi dancers, it's teacher Lina. Today is an emergenCCCCCy video. So I have some of my students promoted to point shoes recently, and I realized that I have never made a how to sew your point shoes video. And I'm sure you can look up some videos online, but I wanted to give a little more information maybe, or maybe something that might help any one of you who are getting their first point shoes or their first pair of point shoes. So I'm going to be explaining some things about your point shoes, and I do have a video about the parts of your point shoes. It's really important to know that as well before you start sewing. But we'll talk about lengths of ribbons, and we'll talk about different types of garters, ribbons as well. These are a new pair of shoes that I have. They just came in from Japan, and I'm really happy that I got them, so perfect timing. And these are an old pair, you can see. I have cut off the ribbon because I'm going to reuse them. So normally if I do have an old pair, I would reuse the old pair of ribbons, especially if they're still okay. This is another old pair which I can reuse, and I normally just cut them off like just on the edge, and then here. And that's it. So I reused them. I have new ribbons. I already sewed in one, and I'm going to sew in the rest and show you guys how it goes. I get this question quite often because I have a machine with me. I do use a machine. Does it matter? I don't really know. For experience though, I would first hand sew probably. It's just more of like the ballet experience. Everyone loves the first time getting point shoes, sew it on your own. You normally just go running stitch back and forth, so it's not very difficult. You just knot it and stitch. But I personally love to machine sew because I feel like it's more secure, and second off, it's a lot easier. It saves so much time. If I have time, I would hand sew. And it's not very difficult. It probably will take me about 30 minutes, but if I use the machine, it's probably a good 2-3 minutes, to prepare. But if I do have a lot of time, I love to just watch TV and darn my shoes and prepare my shoes. It's an entire experience in itself. And I know a lot of dancers still do this. I still love it. So I would say if it's your first time, try it out. So you also get the feel of the shoe and the fabric of the shoe, and you understand what it's made of and how hard it is and how soft it is, and yeah, just all that. Anyway, but it is for the experience. So let's start off with the ribbons. So how long do you need your ribbons? I would say get a measuring tape first, and I'll show it on an old pair of shoes, but I have a ribbon stuck here. Make sure that the ribbon is actually sewn this way. Do you see this? So it's not actually sewn straight up like this. You actually sew it slightly in a diagonal, slightly, very, very slightly, because when you would wear your shoe, and let me just show you, if you would wear your shoe, you would need to tie it this way, right? You don't tie, it's not like it goes straight and around, so it needs to, turn this way in front of your foot, which would mean you'd need to really sew it this way so that it could go up and around perfectly without having a weird crease around here. Yeah, so that's how you get your ribbons really nice and snug too, and no allowance. Now, in order to also have a nicer fit, make sure you flex your foot so that you know how much give and go you need, and then wrap it around, and it should end around here or at the back, because there's like this area here. Oops, sorry. There's an area here where, do you see that soft area where you would tuck in the ribbon this way? So you need to be able to reach that area. I would say leave around 1 inch or 2 allowance over here just in case, or maybe even 3 just in case. So in case you need to cut it later on, it's very easy to cut the end of the ribbon and just adjust it to that. I think that's how you would do it. So use a tape measure first. If you want, wear your shoe, place the tape measure, start measuring around, leave a bit of an allowance before you start sewing, just in case, so that you can easily cut it off and readily. Alright, so where's the placement of this ribbon? Now it differs per shoe, because I want to show you guys the difference, because for my Grishko, do you see where the wing of my shoe is? It's kind of higher. And my Freeds, the wing is kind of here in the middle. You see that? So it's like so far apart. And the ribbons are a little higher here. So normally if I'd be wearing my Grishkos, I know that I have to sew it here, just behind the wing. But on my Freeds, it's a little higher. I would say just base it off of your foot. So Where do you need your ribbons? It's probably around here, or around where your arches are here. I guess it depends where your arches fall, but when you wear it, it's around this area, yeah, in the middle, or where your arch would be here. So that's where I would sew it, or a little higher even, or a little higher, so that you can easily wrap it forward. Yeah, so that's what you need. So it's about there, a little behind probably the arch area. So there, so it's easy to move it this way, in way and out. Okay, so you don't sew it this way, so it's not like this. Yeah, it's forward and out. That's why you need it to be a little bit behind this part of your arch, because that would hold the shoe up, you know, like it would help hold it up, and that's the purpose of your ribbons anyway. Alright, so that's the placement. And so figure out your placement also before starting, and make sure it gives you support. Second is your garter. The garter is a little easier. You actually just fold your shoe like so, and you can see here, you sew it on the inside, the garter of the fold. So inside of the fold. So it's actually pretty far back. Do you see that? It's almost like there's only an inch distance between, or even less than an inch. And this is important because it holds your foot, right? So it's really important. I love this type of garter because it matches my shoe, and it's like an invisible garter. So again, like this is a different, I guess different type of garter. It's by preference. If it's your first pair of shoes, the store would probably recommend all kinds. I just like the invisible garter just because it's very beautiful. And these are my stretch freed, how do you call this? My freed stretch ribbons, because I love that they're only a semi-stretch and they still give enough support. So that's where you would sew. And again, for the garter, just like the ribbon, so if you sew the ribbon this way because you need the pull of the shoe, sew the garters in the same way or direction as you would sew your ribbons, because you also need the pull of the shoe. So your foot is pulled in, like securely. So this way, yeah, not this way, because your ankle isn't like this, your ankle's here, right? So you wear your shoe like this. So yeah, you get the support of the shoe. So those are, I think, the most important parts or the tips for sewing your shoe. Now I'm gonna sew one just to show you, and maybe you can get an idea. If you were to use a machine, just make sure the thread that you have in is pink or white. I like using pink. These are my new pairs, and I cut these off of my old pair of shoes. What I do like to do though is I really like to fold it. Now I fold this so that I don't have to burn it. I know people who still, and I still do burn the ends, but it's a lot easier, you know, to just fold it and sew it straight up. And I would just put it in. So if you're using a machine, you just put it in. I'll show you a close-up, guys, later. But sew it forward and back a bit. Shouldn't take a minute. And just sew it straight and back and cut. And that's it. This is how it would look like. Sorry. Did you see that? So I love using the machine. Just maybe if you were ever going to use the machine, you will love it, because after one stitch is done and I already sewn my garter in, so it's perfect. I can already use these pair of shoes, and it just took me a minute. But again, if it's your first pair, maybe you just want the experience of sewing, please do it. If you are going to sew, please do use thicker thread. I would really suggest dental floss, like a really thick type of dental floss, so it wouldn't cut easily. And this is also why I love using maybe the machine, just because of the sturdiness. So you need that because you'll be doing a lot of releves and rolling through your feet, so it's really important to have that for your first pair or your pair of shoes. So I hope that this video helped you out. I'll take some close-ups of this and how I sewed it. Make sure it's just straight. I know some people who go all the way around, and I used to do that also and sew the whole thing. I would say it doesn't really matter, although if you want to try other stitches, you can as well. But if it's just your first pair, you can just try going up and down and, you know, fixing up the shoe later on when you get more familiar with pointe shoes. I hope that you enjoyed this vlog, dancers, and I hope that you get your first pair going really well for you. And I hope that you like this video. Let me know what else you'd love for us to make. Don't forget to click the like and subscribe, and comment down below what else you'd love to hear from us. Thank you, dancers!